Tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Bar Rescue here on AfterBuzz TV. That's right, it's a very special episode of Bar Rescue. Hashtag Bar Rescue 100, celebrating 100 episodes of Bar Rescue, the great show hosted by John Taffer. And this after show is not hosted by Kevin Undergaro. Today you get me, Phil Svitek. If you guys have been fans from the get-go of our after show, then perhaps you know me. If not, every now and then I jump in when Kevin can't be here. So that's what I'm doing today. In terms of that, before I get into the episode, the reason why Kevin Undergaro couldn't be here is because he's helping Maria Menounos, his partner, and as well as the AfterBuzz TV co-founder, launch her new book, The Every Girl's Guide to Cooking. Along with that, he is also launching a major project of his called The Tomorrow Show. So if you are a fan of @Undergaro on Twitter and Instagram, I'm sure you'll see a lot of promotion for that. So definitely check that out. thetomorrowshow.com. It's a overnight talk show that he's going to be launching very, very soon. So he's in the midst of all of that. I've actually been in the midst of all of that as well. But he couldn't be here, so I made myself available for this special Bar Rescue episode called Hard Heads and Soft Balls. Great title as always. And you know what? It felt like a very special episode. I'm always amazed every time of how they're going to do it differently, because you never want to see repetition in this show, and that's the biggest worry to me. But then leave it to John Taffer to always bring something new. And the fact that this had baseball fields connected and that there were two sort of separate bars, it just added an element that we hadn't seen before, and I thought it worked really, really well. Of course, it takes place in Minnesota, and the original name of it is Mac and Chester's SRO. And initially I was like, what's SRO? Standing room only. Not the best name in the world. Obviously, I think it implies what it says, but not very warming, to say the least. And so, I wasn't a fan of the name, and so I'm glad the name got changed. So, by the way, all in all, I also do want to say that right now I'm just going to kind of give you my overall thoughts, and then Kevin Undergaro, once he becomes available in the coming days, I'm sure he'll do a fuller episode and explain his thoughts, because I know over the course of many and many episodes of Bar Rescue here on AfterBuzz TV, you guys have grown to love him and want his thoughts. So we'll make sure that happens for you guys. So yes, we have the two owners. We have Todd and Chester, and they're just in a bad place, and they kind of separate. So, one's running one, the other's running the other, and essentially losing $6,000 a month. So not in a good position to be in, and especially for that type of business. One of the things that always scared me with AfterBuzz, the more it grows, the more people are involved, the more things happening simultaneously, the more I can be involved, 100% with every one of those things. And so you kind of have to trust that people are getting certain things done, and you have to have a system in place. And so literally when you're separated that far and you have that amount of acres to deal with, you have to have a very good system. I mean, so many past episodes, you're dealing with 2,000 square feet. Sometimes, from what I recall, the biggest space we've ever dealt with is 7,000 square feet, which is still it is a lot of square footage to manage. So the notion being that if you can't manage a size of 7,000 feet properly, how are you going to manage acres of all this stuff? And so it's just not a bad. It's just a bad combination overall, and that's what ended up happening. Now we get Mia Mastriani, who, if you guys are, again, fans of this show, the AFTERBUZZ TV After Show, you guys know Mia very well. And, of course, if you're a fan of Bar Rescue, which I can't imagine you're not, you guys obviously know her. And for us, she is a favorite. She's a fellow Bostonian, and so I was glad to see her involved with such a special episode and also do the Recon. I liked how she got dressed up for the baseball occasion of it all, and so they when they first do Recon, they start with the inside, the actual bar, not the bar by the baseball fields, but the main bar, as I'll call it, and they ordered the food, the specialty. I mean, so many times Bar Rescue, one of the educational things that comes out is have a signature cocktail, have a signature food menu, and so, that's what they had. They had the Chester, obviously named after Chester, and so you would think, okay, this is his namesake. This is if there's going to be an item that's really good food-wise, it would be this. And no, there's hair in it, and it just became unappealing and gross, and so their signature item went from good to just bad in a matter of 2 seconds. And even so, as they got wind of that, one of the thing about it was, seeing the owner, seeing him, talk with the cook, because he wasn't upset. It just he was pleading with him to say, hey, how long have you worked here, so forth. And the reason I bring that up is it was just poor management. He commanded no respect from the cook. And that doesn't mean you have to be stern with someone or yell at them. I do believe in the educational side of things. But this was literally groveling, begging, pleading, and you just don't command respect in that way. So that was a hard thing to watch, unfortunately. And then on the flip side, so Mia then goes off and she goes to the baseball bar, and I would love to say we haven't seen a drink be named inappropriately, but we have. But never have we seen a drink called the Slut Hut, which, of course, Mia is put off immediately, but nonetheless tries it, and it is just so disgusting. And seeing her face as she says, where can I dump this, was just so funny. And seeing her kind of slowly pour it out, it was just so strong and so weird. So obviously a lot of issues, and the biggest thing of it all, they're operating completely a separate direction there. One manages the baseball bar, one manages the, as I call it, the main bar, and there's a complete disconnect, and no one really cares. So overall, just not a good direction to be in. And in terms of that, we spent a lot of time sort of dealing with a lot of times we deal with more of the personal stuff later. This time, John and the show front-loaded it. We really didn't start to train and bring in our experts till about 30 minutes into the show, which usually happens much faster. Usually 15 minutes in, we start to kind of get into these things. So even that, again, format-wise, just a nice change of pace from there. And as we kind of get into the stress test of it all, it just, again, the whole notion of disorganization just continues throughout this. It's both the micro and the macro. It's just prevalent everywhere. And in terms of the bartenders, they're running every which way. They can't get to the bottles. It's just a disaster. Food wise, same thing. So all in all, the biggest part of it all is everyone just needed to get on the same page, needed to be managed in that one way. And obviously the wife, she was ready to step up. And I like that Elise, she had that passion. She wanted to give it a try, and that John saw that within her, and sort of that's where the shift happened. So, a lot of, I like the concept kind of kept we made a shift and a conscious notion to go to a cabin lodge type of atmosphere in Minnesota. I really like that style. I think it's very cool. Maybe it's because I'm from the Northeast, and when we used to go skiing and snowboarding, you had those types of lodges, and it was just kind of an escape from the cold. This is, a lodge to me also means, hanging out with your friends and things like that. So I really like that, and so that's just even the drinks menu. I really love the idea of cabin fever as a title of a drink. So I thought, now all these elements start to make sense. In terms of the renovation, right, renaming it, I thought that the name Boulder Lodge Bar and Grill, so much better than Standing Room Only. That's just a terrible name. This one was much more fitting, and the way it looked. And as John said, cabin logs, the wood goes horizontal, not vertical. And so we had to make sure it was on both sides, the baseball bar and the inside bar. And then the way the rock hit, behind the bars. I thought that was wonderful. And as John said, their biggest problem during the stress test, staff-wise, was speed and efficiency. Now they have speed wells, POS systems, and not just one or two. They have 4 of these things. So that's a really good number. And now they can finally have that efficiency that they need. Because I remember when I was the part of the Bar Rescue episode that I was on, it doesn't ultimately matter how many great bartenders you have and so forth. If you have a system in place, like the Cantina bar that I was a part of, they had one sort of POS system, one sort of tap, and the problem became that, okay, everyone just kept going to this, and it became bottlenecked, and that's the biggest problem of speed, is when you get bottlenecked. It's not about how fast you are as a person. And so, by having 4 of these things, obviously increases efficiency tremendously. And ultimately, Elise gets to take over the bar, which was fantastic to see. And according to reports, as they said, things are going really well. Now, the biggest stuff that I actually want to talk about, because I know I overall breezed through this episode, and like I said, Kevin Undergaro, he will sort of give a much more in-depth version of this. I just wanted to kind of make sure you guys as fans got at least a little something. Sales are up 37%. The reviews that have come out from most of these people have said, very small menu, burger was tasty, although bathrooms were a mess. So I'm a little bit bummed to see that they haven't necessarily upkept the cleanliness. Maybe it was a one-time thing. And it's also a matter of perspective, because when it says very small menu, I went to the Boulder Lodge Bar and Grill's website, which, by the way, is a very, very neat and organized website. They even have a section dedicated just for Bar Rescue, which I thought was very nice. So they kind of appreciated the whole experience. And so I always kind of like to see that. The menu to me, small. It's a matter of perception, because to me, I think there's a lot of great items on the menu that one can order. I mean, just in terms of the categories, there's starters, there's wings, there's burgers, salads and wraps, sandwiches and more, 12-inch handmade pizzas, a kids menu, and then they have signature drinks and tap beer menu. And the beer menu is fantastic. It's it's got a couple of the more known ones like Coors Light and Blue Moon, but then we get into really cool ones like Summit Saga IPA, Angry Orchard's maybe a little bit more known, but still kind of more of a novelty beer. So to me, I think it has the right amount of food for that stuff. Especially for the quantity that you would expect them to produce. And they have breakfast from 9 a.m. to noon. So I'm not sure. Again, it's a matter of perspective, but to me, the menu is very fitting, and I think and it ensures quality, by not having too many items. And by the way, also from a customer perspective, sometimes too many options is just overwhelming, and yet you start to get lost in all of it. This is just, you want something simple, good to go. And one of the biggest takeaways that I liked of this episode was about the menu pricing. So drinks, you want to price at a 25 cent interval. Again, much more eloquently said, but the notion being that if a drink is $6.25, then mentally, as a customer, I'm much more apt to, because most people give $1 per drink, and then beyond that, they kind of want to round it off to a nice whole thing, and so it's like, okay, per drink as a tip, you get $1.75 because of that. If it's priced at $6.25. Which I thought was really cool. Now, for food, it doesn't really matter. People will tip what they're going to tip, or what, on that 20% sort of basis. And so, but, when you have a Caesar salad at $8.95, it still tells your brain, okay, it's $8 instead of $9, even though it's only 5 cents off of the $9. You're much more likely to get it, and you're still going to tip or most people are, for that item. So I thought that was a really, really interesting tidbit, that I don't remember from before. And the other interesting part was, obviously, there's a lot of controversy over the bikers and everything like that. And Elise actually took to Facebook and wrote this, and so I wanted to share it because I think it speaks volumes about her experience with Bar Rescue, because we've seen so many times that people aren't appreciative, or they think they pulled one over on Bar Rescue and so forth. But to me, she's very appreciative of the experience, very appreciative of everything that was done, and she also speaks about the bikers. So here's what she writes. With all the talk about the Bar Rescue episode, I want to put a few things in perspective. It's TV, and with that being said, part of the show is about bikers. We did not write the script, choose the name, or edit the film. But in return, Todd Chester and I were blessed with once-in-a-lifetime opportunities, something that may make sense to some and not to others, may make some uncomfortable and may make others laugh. Though I have a tough time laughing at my ugly cry face, I want the biker community to know this isn't to keep you away. It's to ensure you are not the only customers, but our friends. We will continue to do the things we do because that's who we are. Thank you for everyone's support. It's greatly appreciated, and we will watch the rest of the episode along with everyone else for the first time. So cheers to another riding season. XOOX. So, I think that speaks volumes about Elise as a person. I think this bar will continue to do well. Whatever minor setbacks there are, which the good news is cleanliness is one of the easiest to fix. And again, I haven't really seen the bathrooms to be able to judge on it. So hopefully we'll, I think we can improve. But she obviously has a willingness to do well, and she's, if she follows the systems that John put in place, I think she can be very successful, and it looks like she already is becoming very successful. So kudos to that. Overall, a great episode, and congratulations to Jon Taffer for 100 episodes. Hopefully we'll have, if you want to, John, of course, that's on you, 100 more, 200 more, 300 more, however many you can give us, John. We'll keep watching as long as you want to do it. And one of the fun things that it makes so much sense, is so wonderful, is that John is the world's foremost expert in failure. This is 100 episodes that he's seen of just complete failures, and he's been able to change that, and I think that's really interesting and cool, because so many times all these experts, they always help people who are wanting to learn, people who, for the most part aren't necessarily that unsuccessful. They just want to improve. But when you take someone who's just, in these types of positions, and you can really change their lives, that to me is even more special, because, they're ultimately the ones who need it more. It's great that people who, it takes us... The fact of being self-aware that you need self-improvement, again, kind of shows a level of success. To what degree, I'm not sure, but when... So, I commend John for taking all of these bar owners, and even for the ones that haven't been as successful, that's okay. That it really comes down to those people, and the fact that he has been able to change. First off, even if he was only able to change 1% of them, that would be a huge, huge victory, right? But the fact that I forget the full statistics, he was able to share with me a while ago. But I think, I don't want to throw out the numbers, but over 50%, I can safely say, of these bars are still in business. That's a huge success, especially with the statistic that they share every week at the top of the show of how many bars fail each year and go out of business. That's huge. The fact that, out of these 100 episodes, over 50 of them are still in business. That's fantastic. So congratulations to Jon Taffer. Congratulations to Bar Rescue and Spike TV for having such an amazing show. And by the way, if you're a bar owner, at the end, John, he gave those guys a free subscription to Taffer Virtual Teaching. I think that's something amazing, and I wish, I definitely check that out. Check out more info and get involved with that, because I think that's just simply brilliant. So thank you guys for joining us, or me at least, on AfterBuzz TV's Bar Rescue After Show. Remember, hashtag Bar Rescue 100. That's the numbers not spelled out. And tweet at Undergaro. Let him know that you want him to recap this episode. He is flying to New York for a few days, so it won't be at least till the end of the week. But fear not. He does want to do this, and he loves this show, which I think you guys understand every week when he does it. So kudos to everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.